but then discussed some different things. And one of the things they looked at was what was their current vehicle going to be worth. So they did a trade-in value, and they offered them $23,000. So they said if Caroline wanted it for $23,000, we could get that unit for that. We've looked at the unit. They are using it. They were using it the week before last. I went down and looked at it and had the crew, and they've got a 3-man crew that is assigned to that truck. It's on the road 5 days a week currently. It is a used truck. But overall, it's in good shape, and for what we would use it for, we don't have the 3-man crew to be able to assign to it. So it would get used on a once-a-week basis to be able to clean pump stations. We would also be able to use it for cleaning out all of our septic tanks at each of our convenience sites, as well as our leachate tanks at the landfill. And that wasn't really noted in the memo, but that's a cost savings as well. This unit currently, if we have a sewer main blockage, we have to call a company to come in with a sewer rotter and basically clean any of our lines. We would have that capability. We also have the Vector truck so that we would be able to vacuum out any of the tanks that we currently have, any of our wet well stations, and maintain those. Looking at the value of the truck and trying to find other trucks, we're in the neighborhood of $100,000 for a truck of this nature. In a used condition like it is. Hanover County just spent $388,000 for the new truck. We'd never be able to afford that. I think this truck would last us for 10 years, maybe longer for how we're going to use it. And I just think it's, at this point, for what it is, I think it's a great deal that we can't pass up.
Okay, so we're going to, the rental, we rent a truck now to do this.
We actually rent a crew to come in. We actually have to use companies because they don't just rent these trucks. It's not, nobody has them for rent. So we call different companies to come in and do the different cleanings.
How much does that cost a year?
We spent $40,000 over the past 3 years.
$40,000 over the past 3 years?
Yes, sir.
And this truck is?
23.
23.
That's correct.
So basically in half that time, a year and a half, we will have paid for it.
That's correct.
You're going to give up that money from the budget this year?
I'd like to keep that money in the budget this year. We were actually trying to roll money over from out of the budget from last year. But what we'd like to do, there are some things that are going to have to be worked on the truck. We've got about $5,000 of work we want to put into the truck. They are giving us everything that's on the truck, so all of the heads that are on it, all the tools are on it. There's probably 10 plus grand just in the tools that they're providing on the truck as well. So they're not taking anything off of it. They've got all new equipment. Some of these heads, I mean, they're $2,000-$3,000 heads easily for some of these.
Okay.
So the hoses, and that was my question.
All the hoses, everything.
Every
wrench, yeah.
That's the $10,000.
Yeah, every wrench, everything that's on there is going with the truck.
All right, we're happy with the truck. We're going to still discuss the money you got in the budget that would have been there. So that's another discussion. Any questions for Mr. Schiebel on the Vector truck?
Mr. Chairman, I got a couple.
Mr. Black?
It says in there there's a 3-man crew on that truck. There's something in there with Hanover had a 3-man crew on it.
That's correct.
I mean, how are you going to work that?
We're not going to. They get a 3-man crew because they actually have a true maintenance program. Every week they pump every single one of their pump stations. When they're not pumping pump stations, they've got lines that they lay out that they're going to clean, and they just go through their system, and it takes them about 5 years to clean every line, but they clean every line in their system over about a 5-year period, and that's all that crew does. They go out, they clean all the pump stations that week, and then they start cleaning sewer lines. And that's all they do. Okay. And that's what they do. We're going to use it strictly for emergency basis, and then as well for doing regular maintenance to our pump stations.
What is the mileage on the truck?
Right at 200,000.
And as far as maintenance, like, I mean, did you have a history of how much it's? Yeah,
right now, if you're looking at what it's going to cost, it's got a seal that's leaking on the boom that needs to be replaced, and then it's also got a small leak in the tank that's going to have to be welded. They were saying probably in the neighborhood of $4,000 is what they said it would cost to fix that, so we threw in about $5,000. Your normal maintenance on a year just depends on if something were actually break or not, but normal maintenance on that kind of truck, because you're not going to put many miles on it, it won't see 10,000 miles a year. It'll probably see less than 5 more than likely in a year. So you're really looking at an oil change, tires on probably 4 or 5 years down the road. Right now, I mean, it passes inspection and it's overall in a good condition.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions? Move forward with the purchase of the truck?
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we get staff approval to purchase the
Vector sewer cleaning truck?
Vector sewer cleaner truck.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Seeley to give staff authority to purchase the Vector combination sewer cleaning truck. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. 10A, yes, sir.
I'm not sure I'm able to do it, but I heard of, I was going back to the back, that you approved the
Germano.
Germano.
Would you like to have your vote recorded as an
Yes.
aye for Germano?
Yes,
Yes.
okay. Change it.
Okay.
Voted in the hall.
Well, we won't say where he voted, but just leave it at that. All right.
Understanding. That's all about it.
Don't give me any more information. All right, 10A and 10B. 10A is we're given Mr. Schiebel direction on updating the solid waste management plan. Any other questions on that? That was pretty much straightforward. Motion to that effect would be in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. 10B was Mr. Fincham gave me a text amendment. The board is referring the proposed text amendment to the Planning Commission and direct the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing, make a recommendation to the board not later than October 14th or earlier if possible. So that's the text amendment agenda. Is there a motion for that?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Akers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Informational calendar items, Mr. Cully. Capital projects report is kind of important.
You'll see on the capital project report, we are pretty much finished most of the things other than Madison renovations. You can see they're starting to spend money on that, on design, and the Caroline High School renovations. Radio system, you can see we're about 56% funding complete, and that's based on the schedule that's in the contract of the work that they've completed, of what we've paid for. The rest of the projects down in utilities, most all those are complete. We're just working on a few punch list items on wastewater. I included the Fred Regional ridership report for your reading pleasure. Don't forget, we have, it's been mentioned earlier, but the county fair opens tomorrow. Our next meeting is 4:30 with the school board. So it's a 4:30 on the 22nd, and then our regular meeting starts after that. So we have a work session with the schools, and that's budget related and salary scales and those various things that they want to start talking about for next year. Right. 1st of August, since how we won't be meeting on the 12th, there's a National Night Out on Tuesday the 5th, and that has grown according to the sheriff. There's been more areas now added. I think Caroline Pines has come on this year, and it seems like he told me one other because it's sort of spreading his resources fairly thin. And then our meeting will be on the 26th.
And we're going to meet at 4:30 or 5 o'clock.
On the work session for water, wastewater. So we'll need to
We'll do that
recess out of the next meeting
Okay.
for that.
One question, Mr. Cully, and I don't know if the rest of the board's aware of this, but I saw Stafford, or in the newspaper, Stafford had an issue with proffers, and they can only use their proffers for things that are in the CIP this year. Did you see that?
I have not seen that.
You saw it? Yeah. So, I mean, we need to...
Well, we'd have to have a...
Well, this was proffers. This was proffers. It wasn't impact fee.
You do have to... You have to have the CIP for the proffers of proffers.
But in our case, we take proffers for a lot of things. I mean, for instance, for Belmont, when they did Belmont North or whatever one it was, they proffered road improvements and they proffered a fire station. Neither one of those were in our CIP. So I want to make sure that we don't get caught in anything like that.
I got head shaking, wait a minute.
Is that the case?
It's in it.
Fire station's in the CIP. But I mean, well, yeah, because we got 2 land sites for a fire station now, but. Okay, but suppose a development comes on 207, and the guy says I'm gonna proffer a 3rd lane on 207 or something like that, and I'm gonna proffer a new high school site. None of that's in our CIP, right?
That's a fetching question.
A school site might be.
A school site might be. The road improvements might very well end up in a 6-year secondary road plan. So it's in a plan that's adopted by the board.
In somebody's CIP, okay.
Yes.
But that's the way the General Assembly has changed things, because I didn't recall it always being like that.
I would have to go back and review the case. I don't think we have any issues with the proffer program that we have in place,
Okay.
but I would have to go back and read specifically what that issue was related to Stafford.
This was an article in the Freelance about Stafford, and specifically said their proffers could only be used for their CIP. And I'm not sure if that's the way Stafford's set up, but I want to make sure we don't get caught in that.
No, there have been issues in the past with localities and the use of proffer funds. We have not run afoul of that, but I will double check the Stafford. Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you please? And I'm not sure when it was in the Freelance, but I think we can Google it and find out. Did I use my, did I give back my
Closed session.
closed session
Give
thing?
it back to me.
I gave it back?
No, you did not.
I lost
You
it?
just use this one. This one's fine. I'll put this one.
I need that one again.
You can use what's in the agenda.
Just read it from the
That's fine,
agenda.
for the purposes of what we're running. 'Cause now it's just,
I want to go back to the other one to make sure.
oh,
I wasn't quite finished.
okay.
Oh, she's got, there you go.
Okay. So we need a motion to go into closed session to have consultant with legal counsel exemption, section 2.2, 3711A7, Code of Virginia, to discuss legal advice on a specific matter related to contract and zoning requirements needing legal consultation, and the public contract exemption where section 2.2, 3711A29, where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the county regarding a negotiated agreement. Is there that motion? Please say aye.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Second. Okay, motion made by Mr. Seeley, second by Mr. Underwood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in, motion carries unanimously. We're in closed. Board members, we need a motion to come out of closed meeting.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Akers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Mr. Taylor, do you certify that only those things we entered into closed session were discussed?
I so certify.
Mr. Black?
I so certify.
Mr. Underwood?
I so certify.
Mr. Akers?
I so certify.
Mr. Seeley?
I so certify.
And I so certify. We have one action item to authorize the county administrator to execute the settlement agreement with minor edits if required. Any necessary minor, approved by the county attorney. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Akers, second by Mr. Underwood. Discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. We never had any closing board comments. I guess nobody had any. That's good, okay.
Yes, sir, I do. Sorry. But I do have a couple.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I've asked, and this is just for information, the citizens of Portabago Bay have had a concern about emergency services and the time that it takes to be served, and they are saying that basically because there is only volunteer service and there are no paid people, many times calls take up to 35 or 40 minutes. And I've talked to Chief Loftus. He agrees. Now, I'm not asking that we do something about that tonight, but that's an issue we're going to have to deal with. And so what I've asked Chief Loftus to do, we're going to try to get together and talk with some representatives from the area and Chief Loftus to see what kind of recommendations we can make. Obviously, there needs to be some paid people, and they are already stretched as far as they can be stretched now. So we're going to talk about that and perhaps come back to the board with some type of recommendation, and I just want the board to know that. The only other thing is I just would like to reiterate that VDOT did approve the turnaround at Burma Road, and because it's been approved by VDOT, I think that kind of takes away our authority to do anything about that. And even though it was stated that we gave land away, we really didn't do that. We worked on a recommendation from several entities, from the sheriff, from Fort AP Hill as well. So hopefully we can still address it as much as possible, but the long and short of it is VDOT has approved it, and so we're going to still do what we can do to address whatever issues come up, but I just don't think we can supersede VDOT. That's all I have, sir.
All right, did anyone else have any closing board comments? No closing board comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. You're going to work out the Porter-Bago Bay. You're going to talk to the town of Port Royal and the Porter-Bago Bay Homeowners Association to see what they want to do first, see if Port Royal can help contribute to that. Because if we put people there, they'd be in the Port Royal Fire Department.
True.
So we'll look at that. We'll just have a plan or just an idea of what could happen.
In that process, could staff look at the difference in what it takes to get, let's say, into Charlesburg or into Cedon calls versus the Port Royal area or Porter
What's
Bago?
happened occasionally on some of these calls, and I'm familiar with some of these calls, because we had one, I think somebody had a broken arm or elbow or something, and every ambulance was out. All of our paid crews were out. And so it was a long time before anybody was able to get there. And I think dispatch told them that they were able, they'd probably be quicker if they could drive, and they were upset about that. But it was because we had, you tone, and there are no volunteers coming up anywhere in the system, and the paid crews are out. So it was an ambulance coming back, and I think it was coming back from the Richmond area up 301. So when it got the call, it was in Frog Lake. Well, that's a ride even then to Port Royal. And so I think a couple of those have been issues where, we have 3 paid crews on 24 hours a day, one in Ladysmith and one over Bowling Green and one down at Frog Lake. And, you know what the fire rescue costs are. And we have some firemen on during the day and some firemen on in the day in Bowling Green. The others during 5 days during the week. But for most of it, it's keeping these medics running 3 of them. So clearly to add a 4th ambulance where the call volume is not real heavy, it's just been unfortunate that when we have had a call or 2 up there, they haven't been able to respond. But we'll certainly look at it system-wide and see where the volume is. But for the most part, you know where the volume is.
No, right.
And I guess populated areas.
Yeah, and I guess my point is the fact that you can put 5 more paid people in the system, and you will never guarantee that you wouldn't have to wait 20 or 30 minutes or 40 minutes to get arrested.
At any
Because
one
all
time.
it happens in Bowling. Yeah, it happens in Ladysmith area when you talk about the common church or.
We
And I mean, if this is typical all over the county.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
If that's typical all over the county, then, maybe we're doing the best we can. I just basically want us to look at that circumstance and make sure that they're getting the same service or as best we can as the other citizens of the county are getting.
I understand that, and I agree with that, and that's the reason I say, let's look at it countywide.
I think that's probably what our proposal would be. If we were to add people, we wouldn't necessarily say, let's put them in Port Royal.
Yeah.
But if we put another crew on, then it would service is backup for everywhere in the system. So if you put it centrally at Bowling Green or whatever, they certainly can ride up.
Still take
to-
15
it's
minutes to get
15
to
minutes to
Port
get there. But I don't know that it'd be a good use of resources to have them sitting in Port Royal and having to come to the rest of the rest of the county that far away. No offense to the people in Porter-Bago Bay, but they live on the edge of a county that's divided up by the fort. So, I mean, it's always going to be risky in those remote areas. When you pick up the phone and dial 911, are you going to get service when there are no volunteers really in the local stations anymore? And it's because of the training requirements. I mean, it's just, you got to be a doctor. You got to be a
Same thing is going to be
doctor.
true if they go into Rappahannock Academy, which is up like at Fort Wayne. It's going to be the same kind of thing.
We get a lot of calls up, that come across my app, probably more than we do in Porter-Bago Bay.
Okay.
We'll certainly look at it.
All right, we'll have staff look at that. Nothing else. We're going to recess to July 22nd, 2 weeks, 4:30. We're going to meet with the school board. We're going to talk about
They want to talk about
budget.
their upcoming budget and their salary scale. Remember, they wanted to
Right.
try to fix their salary scale every year. You hear about it's broken. So they want to explain to us why they
Budget,
need
salary scale, combined maintenance. Mr. Black wants to talk about combined maintenance, because they only have like 2 or 3 maintenance people, right?
You're talking about vehicle maintenance or maintenance people?
Building maintenance first, and vehicle maintenance too. Yeah. So we're talking vehicle and building maintenance.
Okay. We haven't looked into,
Maintenance, everything.
I don't have another abundance of maintenance people.
No, and neither do they, but if we combine the two, we might be able to do something a little bit better, because we don't have people that paint over there, and I don't think that's what they're doing. They're just sweeping. Maybe they could cut grass when they're not sweeping.
On the summer hires.
That hasn't closed yet. That was in the paper the other day.
I'm still working on it.
All right, nothing else? Motion to recess to July 22nd, 4:30 meeting with the school board.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Taylor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're recessed.